the planet Earth.
Some call me nature.
I am very passionate about the planet
Earth.
A living, breathing planet capable of sustaining whatever life forms we see fit to deposit on it.
Spock, judging by the pollution content of the atmosphere, I believe we have arrived.
It's the planet stupid.
No. It's the planet stupid.
Our guide for It's the Planet Stupid, Belinda Weymouth. Hi, Belinda. Yes. Belinda Weymouth. Belinda, how are you, my dear?
I'm so well. How about you?
I'm very well. And I'm excited to talk about things that are affecting this beautiful but fragile place.
Yeah. Well, I've got some good news.
All right, please.
You know me.
Yeah. Lead with the good.
Yeah, exactly. So last week was really huge. On Wednesday, Biden put a halt to CP2. CP2 is going to be the largest liquefied natural gas plant in the US. It's one of 17 new natural gas plants that are planned for the coastline of Texas and Louisiana. This is not the direction we need to be going in to deal with climate change. We already have 5 operational LNG plants. We have another 5 that are already in construction that will double our output. We are the biggest exporter of natural gas and of oil. We don't need CP2, and we don't need these 16 others that are slated that will just put us completely on the wrong track for climate change. So the fact that Biden on Wednesday said, hey, we're going to halt this. We're going to really, really look at the environmental and health impacts. By the way, the Energy Department has never said no to a natural gas project. So the fact that they, stepped in and said this. And then the really fantastic thing happened on Friday when Biden took to the White House website and said, hey, look, I'm really going to double down on my commitment to the climate. It is the existential, threat of our times. And we're going to look at all of these projects. We're putting a pause on all of these natural gas plants. This is what he needs to be doing. The fact is, natural gas, the problem with it is it leaks all along the supply chain, taking it from a gas and turning it into a liquid, hugely energy intensive. And the fact is, we can't keep saying, oh, it's because, Putin invaded the Ukraine and now Europe doesn't have all its natural gas supply chains, because the fact is, there it is. I mean, it's a $10 billion project.
We should mention that no existing LNG facility, I think in the U.S. anyway, is affected by this decision, right? If it's existing already, it's the new stuff that he's said.
Yeah. And the fact is, so we've got 5 already in operation. We've got another 5 that are already being built, and there's talk of this additional 17 of these projects. This is not the direction, we should be going in. So the fact that he called a halt to this was really big. And I also really have to give a huge shout out to all the young activists who got super motivated on this, because, as we've talked about on the show before, what young people care about is the environment, because they agree with Biden. It is the existential threat of their time. They're more concerned about this than the economy. And of course, the other thing is, if you are concerned about the economy, you shouldn't keep pouring more money into fossil fuel projects, because they end up costing us money. The environmental degradation that's happening, the floods, the fires, all the things that are a result of a heating up planet, the health costs that are going to be associated with it. It's huge. So it makes more economic sense not to do this. But I just have to point out, so over a decade ago, activists got super involved with the Keystone XL pipeline. And through this incredible grassroots movement, every environmentalist's inbox was just full every day, sign this petition, write this letter, we've got to stop this Keystone XL. The protests were unbelievable. We were being asked to send wetsuits to the protesters, who were on the front lines because it was cold, and they needed, warmth. And that was a climate hero, Bill McKibben. He's the guy who is the head of 350.org, and he's an amazing, amazing activist. I love going to environmental events and getting selfies with Bill McKibben because
he's the poster child for the movement. We had him on the show when we were doing KGO. He hasn't been on the show since we've transitioned to YouTube, but I'd love to have him on again. Yeah,
he's fantastic. So this time around, it's these younger influencers. So we had all the scientists writing letters to Biden. There's the Keystone XL pipeline. So there's this young guy. He's 25 years old. He's out of Colorado. He's very good looking. He has a huge following on TikTok and Instagram. His name is Alex. I think you pronounce his last name as Haraus, Haraus. So he's
Can you find him, Albert? He's good looking. I'd like to
Google it.
I want to just.
Oh, sorry. I should have. Yeah. So he's been on TikTok saying to all the young voters, the young voters who put Biden in 2020 because he was he's a climate champion. He's been saying to all of them, you've got to pressure for Biden on these, LNG plants. He's got to say no. It's been months and months and months, and millions and millions of views. He's had Zoom meetings with Ali Zaidi and John Podesta, who are two big Biden climate change advisors. This young man has got this, he has got this incredible influence. And what he said was, he made a threat to Biden, we'll reward you or we'll punish you. You have to do the right thing.
There he is.
Yeah.
So he made it. Thank you, Kim. He made it a front and center issue, sort of.
Yeah. So if you see the picture that's up on the top left of him in the cave, you'll really get to see what a.
I see. He is a hunky, jacked dude, is what he is.
Yeah, he is. He is. And the fact is, that's him. So use your influence. I mean, I just think it's cool. And when the news came in, I was, super thrilled. So last week was a really big week for the planet. And the other thing also is, the US can't be, going to, COP28 and saying, hey, this is what all you other countries need to do. And we're really doing it too. And then come home and keep building out LNG plants. It's like hypocrisy on a macro meta, ridiculous level.
That's why the Paris Climate Accord drove me nuts, because there were all of these pledges and all of these declarations, but the reality was, there's a good look at him.
That's our guy.
And he helped propel this moratorium on new LNG plants. And so I want to pivot, if I might. But anyway, I was just to finish my thought. That's one of the things that it was all those declarations at the Paris Climate Accord, and yet, you go home to these various developed nations and they just do the same old thing.
Yeah.
You want the nature of food and sustainability is something that you've talked about before, and it's huge. And you put some dollars and cents on it in a way that kind of brings it to life. I wonder if you could spend a moment on that.
Yeah, well, this food research that came out at the beginning of the week, this is really, enormous. There was a Stern report, I think it was back in 2006, and it really, Stern is an environmental economist, and he went in and he said, this is how much climate change is costing us. Well, now they've just done the recent one, and it's all on food production, because the way we produce food, the food sector is the biggest sector of the economy that's breaking planetary boundaries. I mean, it's really out of control. 70% of our fresh water goes into agribusiness and crops. And the price tag that they put on it and how much money. So this is, sustainable. You see, it's not a monoculture. You're planting different crops. They create an ecosystem for, insects and animals. They're more inviting for pollinators. When you plant food like this, you don't need as many pesticides and as much fertilizer, because you're really looking at as a holistic whole system, as opposed to monoculture, which is just, It's terrible for the soil, it's terrible for the environment, and it's not good for us. And what they're saying is right now that, what we're doing is we're really sort of borrowing from the future to make money now. We're producing food in a way that's costing globally, they say, between 10 and 15 trillion dollars, because the environmental costs, the health costs, rich countries, people are eating too much unhealthy food. There's an epidemic of diabetes. There are these, there are real, the health issues of our times. And then you've got these poor countries where they're undernourished, so their productivity is low, their mortality rates in infants, children, stillbirths, all these things that happen when you have these, undernourished, mothers. And food is enormous. It's a third of our greenhouse gas emissions, 1/3. So if we don't get right-sized with how we produce and eat. I mean, the way that we're doing food right now, we're going to send the temperature to 2.7 degrees Celsius, above what it was in pre-industrial times by the turn of the century. Well, we already know that's it's not, I'm not going to get too doom and gloom, but it's terrible. It would be terrible if we went to 2.7. And the fact is, I mean, look, just to give you an idea. So if you look at Brazil's beef industry, and all the Amazon that gets cleared for the beef industry. And we know that now with, the silverback, things are going way better in the Amazon, and they've cut deforestation in half. But just to give you an idea, so Brazil's beef industry, the emissions that it creates are greater than all of the country of Japan. So Japan, everything, their energy sector, their vehicles, air conditioning, electricity, everything, every emission that Japan is making, that is dwarfed by what Brazil does with beef. And one of the things researchers said in this this latest paper, which I think is really true, is that if the health costs that are associated with high meat consumption were actually factored into the price of the meat would go up and consumption would go down. And look, I'm not saying that everybody has to go to a plant-based only diet, but we really have to get this sort of meat eating and this reliance on animal protein into a more sustainable place, for our own good, our own health, and the health of the planet. I just
it's just such a it's a political climb that is really a steep one. We've been so indoctrinated into a way of eating. It's a cultural thing. It's a social cornerstone. Hey, found a new sushi place. Let's meet. Hey, I've got best barbecue. Whatever it might be. You realize how food is more integrated into our culture, maybe than anything else, more than religion. And you realize what a tough ask it is, and yet you hope that incrementally it can change, at least that's the way it strikes me.
Well, I think that incrementally it is changing. I mean, I'm always really encouraged when I hear stories of farmers getting like, hey, the way that they till the soil is destroying the soil, with these big rotators that they use. And so now they're using this much more, much lower impact where they're just pushing the seeds in. And after a crop has been harvested, they're not just, clearing the whole field and then starting over and having to put all the, pesticides and fertilizer in. They're actually leaving mulch on the top and then pushing the seeds for the, next year's crop into that. So the soil can actually be, a source of carbon sequestration as opposed to losing the carbon. And people are getting that, farming with these great, huge monocultures isn't right. And you're seeing these smaller farmers. See, what we need to do, Mark, is if we took the subsidies away from agribusiness and we gave it to the small farmers who are farming in a more holistic and they're really mixing it up way, we would be doing the planet a favor, ourselves a favor. And it would be, it's really, when you look at the dollars and cents of it, this is what makes sense. And if we can save ourselves, $15 trillion a year, in, healthcare and environmental costs, we're going to be happier and healthier, and the planet is going to be in a better condition for the future generations that are coming.
I that's so well put, and to the extent that it helps, I retweeted, I think, your post on this, and we'll have a link to this piece in The Guardian, which summarizes some of what Belinda's talking about. But this 15 trillion, the hidden costs of food and climate change and nutrition and human health and natural resources, and the new model by which food could be sustainable. I'll have a link to this piece. And then there are links within the piece that you can, if you want to research more. It's fascinating, and it's so very important,
Yeah, there's a really cool guy. I'll find the link to his YouTube. He's an American farmer who has been farming, on a small farm in this really sort of old school, an old school farm. You have chickens, you have your cows, you have your crops. And when it's sort of like you watch it, you're like, oh, it's like a magic trick, but it's not. It's like, this is how, we used to farm, and farmers really saw themselves as stewards of the land. And the horrible thing with agribusiness is it's just, it's this thing, like I said before, it's borrowing from the future for profit margins right now. But that's not sustainable. And, obviously we all talk about food, as you were alluding to, because, we need it to live. And eating more sustainably, it will push the price of food up. I'm not going to lie about that. But the fact is our government should be putting the subsidies where the subsidies count, and when they do that, where they do the most benefit for the planet and for humankind. So,
gosh, it's so well put. Yeah. Well, you can find Belinda Weymouth across social media at Belinda Weymouth, Waymouth. She had some good news. Oh, and then there's more good news if you look at these studies as something that we want to act upon. So I appreciate it all. Belinda, always love seeing you in good health and happy and with some good news. So thank you for joining us.
Totally my pleasure.
Yes, Belinda Weymouth, everybody. That's It's the Planet Stupid for today.
More.
It's the planet stupid. No. It's the planet stupid.
Next time, only on The Mark Thompson Show.
Hi, it's Mark, and I thought that was great. Hit the notification bell. You'll know whenever there's a new video being dropped, and please subscribe to our channel to help us save the universe.